Try again, try again.
Okay, guys, I hope you hear me. Let's wait another minute until all people will join and we'll start. Okay, guys, do you hear me? Okay, great. I will start sharing my screen and you can find presentation in lesson presentation channel and we will start. Okay, you should be able to see my screen. And today's our agenda. We will go through performance, load, and stress testing, and we will see how it works with JMeter. JMeter, as you remember, it can be used for testing API, and as well we can create multiple users and simulate performance testing with this tool. And agenda. It's about hour. We'll go through all this type of testing and I will show you how to launch JMeter. We'll have coffee break and we'll continue. If you don't see my screen, you can actually open presentation. Maybe it will be easier. I don't know. Performance testing, guys. It's a lot of different type of performance testing. It's not only load and stress testing. It's actually much more, including endurance testing, volume testing, scalability testing, spike testing, stress testing. It's also different like SOAP testing. They are kind of different, but idea is the same, to test our application, how it will perform with a lot amount of value of users, or for example, if user will try to use our website in a short period of time, like a lot of users and so on. I will send you a link right now. Let me find, and I didn't put this in presentation because it's a lot of different testing, but I will show you. Let me make sure I am recording because I feel okay, I think it's recording now. Okay, great. Because last time for another group, for some reason it wasn't recorded. Just cool. Okay, let me, because you don't see my screen, but actually I have Zoom menu, and sometimes I just by mistake click on it and it stops sharing or stop recording. I will share right now link in general channel. You can open it and I will explain what kind of testing. Okay. Again, performance testing, as you already know, it's not functional testing, right? You know, like we have functional testing where we test all our like button works, how our UI works, and so on. But performance, it's already non-functional work, and even can be performed without any UI. We can test how our UI works with lot amount of testing. It's all called performance, but it's a lot of different type of performance testing because it's sometimes they ask in an interview, like, what do you know about performance test? What do you know about load testing, stress testing? But you should know it's all part of performance testing. But it just substructure of this. Load testing, it's actually the type of testing where we will test how our application will work with maximum of our capacity. Because when we create something, we use some tools, we use different applications, servers, and we know, for example, our server allows us to handle like thousands of users. In this case, in load testing, we will test maximum of what we think it can handle and how application will survive or our API will survive with this big amount of users. It's load testing. Stress testing, it's actually something what we will test like with more than it. For example, we know about thousands of users, but stress testing, we will try to use like what we will have with, for example, it like 2,000 of users will use our application, because we need to make sure, like, if it happens, our users will have great UI, which will send them a human readable message, not like servers not exist or something like this. If something happens with our server, our users will have UI and beautiful picture, maybe with our brand, like, sorry, we're right now on maintenance, please join later. It's stress testing. It's when we will test our application or API with more than we think it will handle. Spike testing is actually the same, but it will be testing like in short period of time. For example, let's say something happened, don't think about web application. For example, it can be different software, right? With QA can test not only web application. They can also test hardware, software, and let's say, for example, in any workplace, if you work in office, we always have like fire alarms, and they have system that notify us, you need to get out from office, and after this fire alarm stopped, you need to return to office and log into system. In this case, people who create this application, they will test because all users, all employees will return to office and will log into this application, right? Like in few seconds, in 1 minute. It will be spike testing. They will see how application will work with a lot of users in short period of time. It's spike testing, still type of performance testing. Endurance testing, it's also sometimes called like SOC testing. We will see how application will work with different settings and during a big amount of time. It can be like SOC, right? It would be like it's, if you translate, you know what does it mean, SOC. It will be testing like normal workload, but with long period of time. I will show you in JMeter how we can set up all the settings. Scalability, it's actually how our CPU will works, and so on. If, for example, for some reason, it will be increasing the usage, they will check scalability. If you will work in any company, they will have a lot of different tools what will check scalability testing. It's just, again, not about web application and UI only. They will use scalability testing to test all integration, how all other systems will work with this. And volume testing, it's again, it's a large amount of data. For example, your website allow user to download something, for example, YouTube, right? And this volume testing, they will perform this type of testing with huge amount of data at the same time. For example, it's volume testing. It's actually the most common type of performance testing. If someone in interview will ask it, you can just explain what does it mean. But again, it doesn't mean you will perform all this testing in one application. Your project manager will decide what kind of testing you need to perform. Depends from what your application doing, and maybe software, maybe hardware. They will know what they need to test. Same type of testing exists for mobile application as well, but with different tools. Let's return to, you see this diagram, you just need to know it's all performance testing. Okay, what I described already, performance testing that perform to check how application will survive with these different circumstances, how our computer network will survive, and so on. You can read it later. Today, we will talk mostly about load testing and stress testing. Actual load testing, it's part of performance testing, and we will test what I said, maximum of users, what our application can handle. You see in my example, for example, you will know your application can be used like 1,000 users. You will test like something average, like 500 users. You will test like normal usage, like 1,000, and you will test like a little bit more than it, like for example, 1,800. And you will see. And stress testing, it's already negative testing, and we will check, we not expect our application will work with this amount of users, but we actually testing to make sure our other systems still can handle it. Again, our service can handle it, and actually what kind of, if we're talking about web application, to make sure we display right message for users. You can type your questions if you want. What kind of integration testing can be used with JMeter? We will go, we'll talk about JMeter a little bit later. JMeter, it's not, we are not testing just integration. Again, most of the time company use JMeter for testing API, but right now already Postman exists, and people don't like JMeter to test API, but it's still possible. But they use JMeter for performance testing. And you see, like, it's a diagram. Like, what is the difference? It's again common question interview. What is the difference between performance, load, and stress testing? Load testing, it's huge number of users. Stress testing, it's too many users, too much data, and we're trying to crash our system. And we will create UI-friendly, user-friendly messages. Wait. This list of tools, what can be used for performance testing. You see, it's WebLoad, Load Ninja, SmartMeter, LoadView, Apache JMeter, what we will use. Load Runner, it's also, you will see in job description. What else? It's a lot of different, but actually most common from this list, it's Load Runner and Apache JMeter. It's what I see in job description all the time. But if you will see something, they're talking about performance testing and they put some tools, specific tools, you can just simply Google it and see how it looks to be prepared in interview. But if they will ask if you never did like ever did performance test, you can say yes and you use JMeter, because you are not supposed to know all tools what exist. JMeter is a great one. What kind of performance testing is a must to know to use manual QA? Again, must have, it's load and stress testing. It's what you will actually test for web application. If it's required another type of testing, what I described, it will be the same tool. You will just do different settings. But tool probably most of the time will be JMeter. Sometimes the developers use them like their unit test and they create some performance testing in backend. How it happens in my company, I test with JMeter a little bit, but right now they already created some scripts in .NET, and we don't use JMeter in this season. But you need to know how it looks. And I know from your group, it's already a lot of people who has questions about JMeter. They can ask if they need it. That's why you just need to have idea. It's not like must to know for manual QA, but if you will know it, it will be great. At least you can answer simple questions. Okay, let's return to. Before start to do any performance testing, you need to know answer for some questions. You need to know what is anticipated average number of users, normal load. You need to have it in requirements, or you need to ask your project manager. You need to know how many users will use your application. You cannot guess. You cannot think like, okay, I think it's enough 5,000. No, they need to provide these numbers, and they have statistic for this. And you probably already know we have like Google Analytics, right, installed in any browser or any other analytics tools, and they know what is in season, or for example, if it's website and it's holiday season in audience, right, and people start to book some trips. They already know statistic how many users they had like previous seasons, and they will use these numbers and a little bit more. Second question, it will be how many users should have access simultaneously. It means at the same time, peak number of users. For example, you have some deal on your application, let's say like November 27th, Black Friday, and we have 50 off for all trips. Of course, when period will start, a lot of users will open application and start to book trips, or at least searching. We will do this type of testing as well. And you see, we need to know how many users can open our application at a short period of time at the same time. And third question is when is a good time for load testing all application? It means you need to know when users will do it. For example, it will be if you're testing on production, for example, that still happens. You need to know what is a good time. Because of course you cannot crash your server when user will use it. In web applications, most of the time it's after hours. It's maybe after 11 p.m. or something like this, or maybe during the weekend. But again, you need to think about what is a good time to test your application. And this example, what I have in my presentation, let's say the client said we are looking to have about 200 users in the website and this moment, and we expect our application will respond in 5 seconds. And peak number of users, it's 1,500 during the sale dates. Of course, we cannot simulate this our own, right? If they will have like, we'll say 5 users, you can open the application one computer, another computer, and you will have 5 computers open. It will be still performance testing just for 5 users. But if we require like thousands of users, we need to have another tool to do it. JMeter, it's the one. You do this in production, not staging. It depends from your company. Again, we are trying don't do all this on production, but in case of performance testing, we still need to test our systems as well. If a company, again, maybe you will not test like your own, maybe it will not be part of QA job. Depends from company, but yes, production performance testing still, yeah. Still happens in production. In my company, we do it. But again, in my company, as you know, I work in ski resort company, and we have a lot of ski resorts around all world, like in California, in Utah, in all other states. And yes, we just tested after hours. We are sure, for example, users not skiing at 10 p.m. and we still perform all this testing in production. But your company will know if you need to test in production. Most of the time, QA, like junior QA, manual QA, they will not participate in this because they can do like mistakes. It's probably will be done someone else or senior level. But yes. Why is JMeter actually? The one of reason why we use JMeter, it's open source. If you already know, you install, it's open source, it's free, and everyone can use it. It's one of benefits. It's actually easy to use. It's required Java installed, as you know, and because of Java, it can be using on Linux, on Mac, on Windows, and it's still the biggest benefits of JMeter. And JMeter provide a lot of different reports. I will show you what kind of reports it can be. It can be charts because we're testing something, and later we can see reports. And we can send to managers, to project manager, to any other people. We can perform load testing, stress testing, functional testing. It's all part of JMeter. And it supports different protocols. SOAP, if you're talking about API, HTTP, and it's also great. It's about type of testing, guys, and we will probably start with JMeter right now. Ask me questions if you have right now before we start. Was you able, like everyone who participating, are you able to launch your application? Cool. I think, yeah. If you didn't do it before class, I think you will be in trouble. You can install later, or you can just watch and you will still have an idea how it works. I will ask you right now to open JMeter, and we will start. As you know, JMeter is going real time. Yes, it's going real time. It depends. It's a lot of different settings. It can be delayed start. It's a lot of different settings, but actually when you click button run, it starts running. But it's possible to make different settings and it will start later. Okay, let me know if you was able to open. Actually, if you need to use JMeter often, you can create this icon for shortcut for desktop. It will be easier for you. Actually, I have to see. I just double click on this icon, and my JMeter start working. To open it, you need to go to JMeter folder where you install it. In my case, I have an C drive, bin folder, and you need to find JMeter bat file. Batch, select a different. You can try this file. You can try this file. Also, if it doesn't work, you can still use Apache JMeter jar file. It will still work. And for Mac users, it will be JMeter ch. This one, it still will start JMeter. Let me know if you launch application. I will wait for first person who didn't. Okay. Great. Let me do like short overview of UI. You see UI. Actually, if you launch your application, you probably saw this message in JMeter. You see like first message what it's showing. JMeter suggests us don't use our UI for stress testing because our UI will be crashed. That's why when we will do stress testing, we will do it through terminal. And here they say how to do it. You see, they put JMeter, it's in terminal. We'll do it later. But right now we will use UI. You see, it's simple UI. Okay, and first of all, you need to create your test plan. It's called test plan. If you click on file button, create new, you see like left top corner, file, new, and it will create a new test plan. I will do step by step, and I will wait for first 2-3 person who will do it with me, okay? Okay, and here in test plan, actually, you can change name. You see it's name field. If you remove this test plan and call it, I don't know, let's try to do it first, maybe on any other application. Let's say Amazon. It will be name of our application. It's actually will changed later here as well. When I will refresh something. Here, change name, it will be easier for you. We will check on Amazon and then we'll go to our cool teams. And later we will, after we'll create this plan, we need to create some configurations. You see, it's schema what JMeter has for stress testing and load testing. We will need to create thread groups. We will need to create samplers, listeners, and it will be all part configuration. What is thread group? Thread group, it's actually, we will specify how many users will use our application. You see in the schema, you will see thread group, because if you open your browser or anything, it's just one user. And here we will create like user 1, user 2, user 3, and they all will send our request to API at the same time. We need to create right now these thread groups. Save, yes, you need to save it, but actually, if you will click any button, it will ask this question to save it. But to save it, yes, just like always, right click and you can save it in your JMeter folder. It will be still saved when I will, you see, when I do any other action, it will change it just back in JMeter. It's need to be refreshed. Okay, let's do first thread group. Actually, right click and you see this add menu, and first it's thread users. You see, add thread users and thread group. Click on it, and you will see new tab will open. Can Amazon see what you did? I actually don't care. When right now we will start to test, they will see a lot of users using their website, but actually 2000, yeah, probably Amazon should handle 2000, but again, your JMeter application 400 error. If you will start to try to run a lot of users on any website, I believe they have some security level and they will block you. That's why right now, if you already did it, in my case, when I tried to do a lot of users in DINs, they blocked me. That's why right now for our lesson, don't do like 2000 because a lot of people and they will just block us. And okay, everyone did it. Again, thread group, you can change name as well. You see like users, for example. It will be changed again when you will users. And here it just, again, it's common question interview. What kind of settings in thread group you're doing. It's actual number of threads. It's our users will specify, for example, don't do it more than 3 or 5 because we are not doing it right now stress testing. Okay, we need to check with regular settings. Do it like 3. Ramp up period in seconds. It's how long we gave application to submit all these users. For example, if I will leave it like 1, it means I ask JMeter to submit all users in 1 second. If I will do 1 second and 1,000 users, of course, I will got error because it's not possible probably. Application will not handle it. And loop count and how many iterations I need to run these users. For example, it's 3 users. I give like 5 seconds, and I want these users to open this application like 3 times. It means they will open, open, open. Each user will do it 3 times. Let's do something like this. Okay, we save our thread group. And next, what we need to do here, oops, actually, you see, it's what I already displaying, right? It's number of users, run period, a period of time in seconds, and loop, it's how many rounds we want to run it. And right now we need to use samplers or logic controllers. It's actually something what we will need to create our API call. It's called samplers. You need to stay on thread group and right click, add sampler, and find this HTTP request. Let's do it together. Add sampler HTTP request, you see? It's submenu, some menu, HTTP request. Okay, and it's actually the same window what we have in Postman, kind of similar. You see, let me know if you found it. Okay. You see, it's HTTP request. Again, you can change any name. For example, we will test like right now, just homepage. We will create API call just for homepage in Amazon. You can change name to homepage. And here you see it's actually the same drop-down list and a lot of different HTTP methods. We already know them, right? Get, post, delete, put, same idea. And here, just type amazon.com in. Okay, right now, if you will click button run, it will go and open our amazon.com. But actually, pass, no, pass, we don't need right now pass because we will use like main link, amazon.com. Pass, we need if you have like slash something, 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 you will copy all this pass. But right now, we're just trying to reach this amazon.com. Actually, I will expand my window. You see this timer here, right corner, and we will see this seconds what we specify, and here we will see users, how many users, and you will see how JMeter running. And actually, we are ready to run. If you click this run button, okay, you see it's asking us to save. When you ask, you need to go to this Amazon and save it to make sure it's saved. In bin folder, it will be saved. Just call it Amazon. You see, and in this extension, it's actually JMeter extension. Save. Okay, and click run. It should work. It's actually should be running, but you will not see anything here until you will not specify reports. It says success denied for saving. You need to stay on this main folder test plan and save this test plan. It should be saved. Try to run it and see what happens. right now, probably if you run it, something happens, but you don't see any, we need listeners. Not now. What I'm saying, I want just to show. You see like it's running, but we don't have any specification. We don't have any reports. Let's do reports because right now it's running, but you cannot say like what happens. In this case, we need to add here our page. Listeners, it's actually our reports. If you'll add the reports, we will see what happens. Because right now it's still running, but you have no idea. When you stay on users, right click, you need to find listener. It's last one. It's like add listener. And let's add like view result tree. And add also summary report. And also view result and table. You need to add these three listeners. It's actually, again, guys, it's important when you can do this, add these listeners just for all test plan, because here we just create only one API, just home page. If you will stay on users and create this listeners report, it will create report for all APIs what we will use in. But you can create simple report for every single API. You see here, if you stay on the home page, you can create like a report just for this API. In my case, I created report for all folder, you see, and for home page. Depends what you need. And right now, if I will run it, it's so, let me try to do this way. Okay, it should. You need to stay on this API, what we created. In our case, it's home page. Right click, add, and in this menu, assertion, timer, and go to the very end, it's listener. And you need to add view result tree, summary report, and view result in table. I have the same in presentation. Right click, add, listener, and these three type of reports. Okay, we will see. Probably, you see, it's probably they can block us because someone already tried. Let's see what happens if I run it. It's on my end. It's actually. It's not running for me as well. Let's do something. It should run in. Let me try it here. I have it here. See, it's counting. It should work. So many menu. I don't know why this one doesn't work. Let me check. In my case, it works as well here. Let me try to close another one. because it's probably not allowing me to run two JMeters at the same time. This is currently line and stop shutdown. It's let me stop. I see some people was able to run it, right? It just doesn't work because I have two different windows. Let me open it again. Because I have two windows open and it's blocked me. If for any reason it doesn't work, for example, or it's crashed, you can go and open from here. If you save it, it will be here. You see, I have two different JMeters. Okay, it started working. Yeah, it's not allowing me to use two different UIs. That's why it's not running. Okay. And you see in our case, we run these users, right? It's our home page. I run actually google.com. Amazon.com. And you should have result here. If you run it, you see this result. I will clear it up and run again to make sure we're running the same stuff with you. Run. If it's running, if it works, you see this timer works. 1, 2, 3, it will count until 5 because we specify this 5 seconds. It will work for 5 seconds and all these users. But actually, let's see what happens. But it's, you see this response, they block us. I believe we have request, response. Okay, good idea. We will switch right now to DINs. But guys, when we will switch to DINs, please don't use 2000 users because we will not able to continue with class. If they will block us, it will be the end. But actually, I will show you here in wrong examples as well. You see, we run this Amazon.com. It's a lot of users right now running, and actually Amazon blocking us for its limited amount of users can be using this site. They just trying to save their servers. They have limitations. They have some gates. It's how they, because they understand probably people can use some testing environment to test Amazon. See, I will try one more time for Amazon and we'll switch to another website if it doesn't work. Okay, it doesn't work. But actually in this report, we can still see it's running. User trying to go to our website. It's, you see in our setting, it was 5 users 3 times. And actually it's 15 together. You see, and here it's in report result in table. You can see the street name, user 1, round 1, user first. You see like all these rounds. What is the page and what is the status? It's actually out like 500 something. You see it's in red. And all this information from API. It works, yeah, what I'm saying, it's, it can work for our one person, and it's the same things is this way. If you ever participated in Green Card, right? They have like official gov website, and in one day, all people trying to open this application and try to check their result, May 1st or something. And some people able to do it, some people it's server not responding because it's just a spot. They allow us right now like 200 people using the same website at the same time. If you was in this 200, you're fine. If I was 202nd, they just block me. If I will retry, probably one time they will allow me to using this site. But actually, it's good example with negative scenarios. In our case, is when I click view result 3, I see everything what happens when I run this. You see it's in red. I see what kind of calls it was. And we can read it the same how we did with API. You see this call, it's our request, it's get method, amazon.com. And here it just responds data and respond headers, you see. And it's the same for all our users. For me, it's all red. If you got green, it means your user was able to open this home page, and you can do the same with me, but you will have green. In view result 3, you can see different response. Here, just research these fields. You see, I have 503. You probably have 200 something. It's actually, again, the same what we see in DevTools, what we see in Postman. It just simple response. You see, like you will see what kind of response we got. Service unavailable. You see? It's just for our practice before we are moving to Jeans. Response 200. You can check. Yeah. In our case, you see, like it's already performance testing. We're testing how many users, how many iterations. You see, we don't have UI, but actually user opening amazon.com with no UI, API call. API call, get page, amazon.com. It should return your HTTP file or HTML file, website. Okay. And let's see what happens, like what other reports can be. View result in table, you see like what we use, it's graph result. If I will use like graph result, it will be simple graphic for my result as well. You see like what happens here. And I can see like what is deviation, average, data, like it's the different type of, you can see errors here if you want. You can see just successful. Yeah, it's different type of errors. But most of the time people use just table and result 3. Okay. I think like everyone was able to do it. Okay, and right now, guys, let's return to the same. You can right now create new, and we will use deans.com, but again, please don't use 2000 users. Let's do another project. You need to create new. Yes, I want to save it. You see, when I create new test plan, it's actually saving and open menu one. And right now, just let's create for Deans. Create new test plan and try to do the same steps what I did. You need to create a thread of groups. You need to create a listener, thread groups and listener for now. Okay. While you're working on this, and call it change name to Deans, and I will wait for you. How do we test logins of different users? And it's going to generate different emails and password. Yes, it's possible. We will not do it today during class because it will be confusing for all people. But yes, it's possible. Actually, it will not generate anything. It's already, if something will generate users, like with username password, it already should be something like automation. It can be Selenium, or in our case, Postman, what I showed to you, it's possible to create some like fake names. But here, JMeter allows us to use CVS file. You can create list of users. And yes, with different settings, it will try like one user login, another user login. It's possible to do it with JMeter. If you will want it, you can play around later, but today we'll go through just basic because I know all the stuff. If you do all this in one session, it's very confusing for all people. It's actually not needed right now. You need to have idea. And let me know if you was able to create new test plan DINs with thread group and create a HTTP request. And when you're done, we probably will do break and we will continue. I'm waiting for first person who Zamat did. Great. I will show you later. You see, it's one of listener. It's also log file. I will show you how to create log. It's possible to log be saved in computer automatically when you're running something. You see here, it's most common listeners what people use. Summary result, graph, result tree, summary report, and result in table. Okay, cool. Let me open my DINs. DINs users, I believe. Okay, and right now we need to create first. Let me create first HTTP request for homepage of DINs and see if it works. I have one user. Let me do like 5, 1, 1, and 50 seconds, 1 iteration, and we'll run it. Nice. Okay, I know what's going on. Okay, the same. Use justdins.com, get method, and you will able to have like response. I don't want to confuse you by my settings. Let me create new one. Users. I have different settings. I will show you later. Here we go. If you, every time when you run something, it will just create new report here. If you want to clear it up, you have here button, you see clear. If you stay in result tree, just clear this and it will be cleared up. For next time when you will be running, you will see just new reports. You see like. Okay, in my case, I got all users were able to open my page. Number of treatment. Yeah, do just 5. Make sure like we are not using much and all people able to see like 200 response. You see like homepage, as you know already, DINs using like few times redirection. And last one, it's what we need. You see it's 200, it's okay. Request https dins.com and response, it's actually our HTML3, you see? And it's the same for all users. I hope you got the same. It's actually already API testing, just with small amount of users. If you will ever need to test and you don't have Postman or something else, you can do it here as well. If you need to create post method, you will change just here method and we'll create right now. Okay, let's do just 10 minutes break, and I will ask you to open Postman if you have some, and we will use all these APIs, what we did with Postman. It will be more understandable for you. We'll create the same calls. Okay, number works got 200. Yeah, it's how it should be. Okay, just find this collection what we tried with you on our Postman, and we will try to create all this here. Okay. And let's return in 11:10. And all people will be able to finish if they didn't, and we will continue. See you in 10 minutes. Okay, guys, I see it was a few message that you cannot use JMeter. Actually, someone else had the same issue, and it was posted in Ask Me Teacher or in general. And we worked on this yesterday. So we cannot help you right now. You need to fix it later. Just return to general and you will see how we fix it. You can try to launch, if you have Java installed and you have JMeter, you can try to run different type of files, what I said, like sometimes it helps. In bin folder, try to run JMeter, JMeter jar, Apache JMeter jar, or ch file. Sometimes it's just simple fix. I'm sorry. Okay, I just answered Yuri, who was Nobel. Yes, it was working. Just message, just ignore it. It's okay. If it works, you don't need to worry about it. Okay, let's continue, guys. And we already created homepage, right? And let's return to, we need to create right now user sign up API. Okay, create new HTTP request. When you stay in a thread group, again, double click, add, and create new HTTP request. And here we will create one for user sign up. If you found this link, it's api-ins.com/users/sign up. You need to put here api-ins.com. It will be main server name, what we will use, and all other paths we will put here for all our APIs. I will post in chat probably. api-ins.com. Don't forget here HTTPS. It's probably will not work without it. Protocol HTTPS. We will use method post. Remember, when we create some data in server, we will use method post. And here, pass users sign up. And HTTPS post method. Okay. And name, just change name to user sign up. It will be name of our API call. User sign up, HTTPS, server name api-ins.com with no W, with nothing, just api-ins.com, method post, and here, oh, sorry, user sign up. And here down, you will see like some parameters. You need to open body data here. You see my tab opened, and we will post our JSON file to here. And let me know if you're done. I will post body data, but again, we will create right now a new user, but you need to make sure you changed username, because it will not create the same user again. And for this user sign up, please create the same reporting listener, just something view in table, something like this. What do you like? Listener, view result in table. I have in 3. Let me create a few more. Summary report. Body data, it's above. I just shared here. But again, you can open your Postman and copy from there. It's the same what we did there. Yeah, it's for all, I believe. Does it work right now? Okay. You can actually open also presentation for Postman, and we will do the same. Okay, guys, let me know if someone was able. No, you need to create new user. It's just example of JSON file. Everyone need to create a different user. Right now, we will make call to API to create new user. If you will create the same what I do right now, you will get error. This user already exists. It's actually what I will show you right now. You see, it's my user, and I already create this user one day, but actually you can change right now number of treats to 1 to make sure like it's creating just 1 user. Okay, and I will run this sign up. Run. And you see I got 400. 400 and response body, this email address is already being used. You will have the same if you will use the same user. Let me clear my report. And I will create new user. For example, I don't know, QA1, 2, 3. I hope it's not used. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and right now just run. Okay, in view result 3, in report, I see user was created. You see I got green, and respond data, it's the same what we have for every time we create user. Remember, it's a JSON file, some ID, creation date, something else, and response headers, response body. Did you get 200, guys? And here in request tab, you can see what we actually sent. It's post method, API-DINS.com user sign up, post data, this one, and response body, we can check as well. 400, 400, 400, 400. 400 because you're using my user. Everyone who using my user in JSON file and my email, you need to change it, and you will have 200. If it's 403 and you need to check what is there. If you have any error, go to response data and check what is there. Response headers, response data, and response body. And you will have message from API, what exactly wrong. You can post me here. You see, it works for almost all people. 403, it's a lot of people with 403. Can you send message what you got from API? For user sign up. Did you use post method? It's difficult to see what's going on your computer because it's, let's see. Error count 403 forbidden. Did you use staging API, right? What is API you're using? Can you send screenshot of this user sign up group? Do the screenshot and send it me. Here it should be HTTPS. You probably forgot this one, or you didn't change post. You missed some step. Wrong path, maybe. Yeah, it's difficult to say. Like, if you will send me a screenshot of this HTTP request, I will see what's wrong. But it's actually, guys, always great when you have some type of errors. But again, if you have any type of errors, it doesn't work. Google first, search it. Right now, of course, you can ask me, but I cannot see your screen. I cannot just answer for 400, it's wrong authorization, or it's already used. I need to see all screen to see what's wrong you did, right? I cannot just guessing. But all the time, when you have any type of errors, when you test API, just go to response body and check. They sent in message what exactly was wrong. It's actually everyday your QA work. Missing authentication token, it cannot be, because right now we're using same NAP. If you're trying to log in, but we right now creating user. Again, someone with 403, can you send me a screenshot what's going on in just this HTTP request, what you have here? And we will see a message. You can send me and I will go next, because right now it's actually you are not following my steps, and you're probably creating different APIs that I asked to create. Okay, and right now we create this user, guys, and we can create a login, right? And send in general. I don't see anything in general. Oh, okay. User sign up. Okay, and can you send me a response the same way? Yes, no, user, didn't users. Here, user's name of this request, it doesn't matter. We just can name it whatever we like. It's important to have a right in path. HTTPS, I don't see any issues here. It actually should work. Username, password. From my perspective, it's fine. User sign up. I don't see here. Okay, it should be users. It should be user sign up. I see. I just thought it in screenshot, it's users. Yeah, in pass it's users, should be. No user. And actually it's 400 because this pass just not exist. Okay, let's go next. And let's see, like we check our users, right? If you will try to create again, right now, just run one more time the same user sign up, and you will see different result. You see it's red. And let's see what's there. You see one user sign up and another user sign up. You see message, the email is already in use. You should have the same. That's why we changed to one user, because if 3 users will try to create with same API, of course we will got just one user created and another one is. And here in summary report, you see it's actually some data as well, 50-50. One user was created, one user was rejected. Let's try to log in, guys. Yes, actually, this call for creating a user, it's just example of API call. You probably will not test, again, for performance testing, you will test some specific API. You will not test all API just to perform performance testing. You will know, for example, home page, maybe the users will try to log in, maybe users will try to check out. They will not try to create same user, will not create like 10 users will not create the same account at the same time, right? You will create probably the same API and you will create list of new users. Yes, it's possible to create, but I will not do it today. If they will try to do sign up different users, they will use here. I will show you. If you stay on the users user sign up, let me see. You see, like it's a CSV data set config. Here, it's actually answer. Someone asked if you need like multiple users to log in. Here, it's some configuration. You see, it's file name, and you can browse file in your folder. I will show you how it looks. You see, it's file, test users, CSV file, and I create different users. You see what I need to use. In my case, just for you, just number, but it will be, for example, username and password. And you will upload this file here. You will do another settings, what will not do it today. And it will using this file to log in different users. It's possible to do this configuration, but not today. Okay, let's do next. Let's return to, let's create another HTTP request and we will try to log in this user. Again, new HTTP request, create few reports and actually API will be this one. It's just login page. I will open another one. User login, you need to create this one. It will be same HTTPS, it will be api.com, just users login. I will post you just different path, not holding. Okay. Users login, just users login, post method. And right now we need to create actually different JSON file. You need to use username and password, what you used before, what you created just previously. It will be this JSON file. Okay, I'm waiting for you and I will create just new user right now. I will use new one. Username. It should be username. I remember it was broken and didn't, but I believe it should be username, not just email. Okay. Okay, it's email. I know, guys, it's email. For me, yeah, it should work with email and username. If it doesn't work with email, I'm not sure what is current stage of jeans.com. If it's previously it was broken, that's why I used username and email instead of username. Use just username, it should work. Okay, let me try to log in and I will see what happens. I logged in. You should use username and just username, no email. But actually in Jeans, it should work. Okay. And with this JSON file, you need to be able to log in and you see result, you see like user logged in and we have some result. It's 200, it's okay. And you see it's application JSON, return to us response. And remember what we got, it's beer token again. So, try username and created username, what you just created. It should work. Someone did? Cool. Okay. Okay, and let's wait another people. And we can create simple, we will not go through also earn money. I will send you a link. We'll try one more first and we will run all together. Done. BQA5, check response body. Actually, for us, it's enough just to handle this. You see right now, each your API call has different results tree. Again, you can stay on Jeans users. In our case, it's like our trade group. Right click and add some report for all our API calls. When we'll run all of them together, we will see report for all group, not just for single API. Call some report. You see, I see some report under API, and I created some reports just all together. It's just difficult to try to clear up every time when you run. For some reason, they don't create like one button that will clear up all our messages. You need to do it one by one. It's annoying, but it's how it works. Okay. Let's see, I need to. It's actually, we need to create, let me find our API for just for us, it's enough practice. If you would like to, you can go through all these APIs, what I show you to Postman, and do the same. It will be your homework. You will just practice to create new HTTP requests. We will not do it today. It's not needed for performance. Okay, guys, someone did, right? Okay, and let's stay on this. Let's try to run all together. If you create some reports here and stay on Jeans users, let's change to some users, for example. I will do 10. I will give like 7 seconds and 3 rounds. And I will run all my APIs. You see, like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For me, it's 5 API. And I will try run all of them. Same time it's counting. 10 users. You see, it's here. I see like, okay, 10 users, less than 7 seconds. It's another round. You see, we have this green button. It means, okay, it's done. You need to do the same. Just stay on your trade group and try to run all API together. Of course, we will have some failed because we have signed up, but here in result table, you actually will see like all together, you see? everything what was running. It's kind of similar what we have in our collection in Postman. You can create like here group of API and run them together. Same idea. See, it's all together. Same report, just not for single API, for just one by one, how it was running. Login on homepage using Synapse, see one by one. I have all reports here. Does it work? Cool. Okay, let's clear it up and I will show you a few more tricks. What's possible while people still trying to run something. You see, and here report as well. You see, like we run like homepage. This is why we need different name. We need to change HTTP request because here it's label. You see, it's our homepage API, login page, user. If you will not change name, you actually will see like HTTP request, HTTP request, HTTP request, and you will not understand what kind of request it was. And here's some data, and you will kind of make analysis, how long it took, if it was errors, and so on. Okay, and right now, guys, I want you to ask if you will stay on, for example, doesn't matter where, login, user login. Stay on user login and you can create like assertion. It's kind of already kind of automation. It will check our responses. It can check our size, what returned from server. It can check XML file and so on. It's kind of already validation. You can check all the status 200 and so on manually, or you can create this assertion, you will run it, and you will see just if it was pass or failed. It was 200, you can just read report, and you will see what happened. You don't need to go through all these responses. You can create for money, yeah, that doesn't matter. If you have earned money, you probably, yeah, if you did for my presentation, doesn't matter. It's just example how it can be. I will use for user login because most of the people have user login. Okay, stay in this API user login and double click on, right click on your mouse, add assertion, and let's create like response assertion. And here you see we can create a kind of logic, what we want to check. We will run this API call and it will check, for example, in our case, you want to check if we got 200. Response const 200, it should be equals. I hope you follow me. You need to change to response code in response assertion equals, and add some code what you wanna have. It will go and check if server response is 200. And again, user login, right click, add assertion. And first one, it's response assertion. Assertion, good. Didn't you controlling me? Okay, let me know if someone already was able to create. Okay, Lena Lee. Response code equal, and here specify response code, what we want to check. I expect from server to get 200 when I run this call. If it will be different code, it will be failed, and I will see this from my report. Let's see what happens. I just run it. I need to clear up first. It's actually will just return if it's failed. I don't see, just Helena created one or any other people. I'm waiting a few more people. Nothing happens. You probably did error, mistake somewhere. Let's see. It should be report. Let me find. And here you see in view result 3, you will see this assertion report. It will not be here. It will be here inside of your report. You see? We're checking here. Here it just rules. Let me see if difficult to do with a lot of users. Let me change to 1. It will be more understandable what we're doing. Okay, Galina did it. Check your result 3. You should have this. You see, I have like response sortation. I actually have different code here. That's why it failed. It's checking if it's 200. If, for example, it was something else, it will be failing. Response code message okay. It should be okay. You see, like in this response sortation, let's say I want from this API, I expect from this API 400 error. And let's see what happens if I will run it. It will go and check, and here I can specify any message if I want. Let's see what happens. Just run it. You see it's false. Because it's probably not 400. And here's some result as well. So see? And you can read this assertion result here, and it will see, for example, this pass, assertion size, some other type of errors. Let's. You see, and here you can check actual message. You can check response header in different settings. For example, response header. You can select contain and specify what it should contain or equal something. Or text response. You can check what kind of text it should be. If it will be APIs, it will return text. Response message. You can compare. Does it work? And here text, for example, is like that's work. Works. It's 200. Deans.conf. We see it's no result. It's successful and it's not showing me anything. Just showing the result in result 3 if it's failing. Okay, and we can add another assertion. It's let's select size. And here you can specify what kind of file it will be returning, like what is the size of this file. I don't know, let's do like 300 bytes. I don't know what is there. And let's check, it's actually 17,000. Size. I expect my response to be more than 30,000. Full response, and let's try to see what happens. Sizes, you see. In my case, in this, I got new report. Size assertion, it's failed because I expected to be more than 30,200 bytes, but actually my response 17,000. Okay. Let's clear up something. And most common assertion is most of the time it's checking just response, duration, size. Duration, it's timing, how long it took to upload this response from server. Show again, please. Okay, when you stay on this API call, right click, add assertion, and here you need to find size assertion. It's 1, 2, 3, third one for me, but it can be different, depends from version of JMeter. And next one for everyone who already did, create duration assertion. And you can specify like how many milliseconds you expect from the server to upload this file. It's actually responsive server. Remember, we already talked about it. Every time the user opens this page and all this loading images, banners, and so on, people skip using this website if it's not fully loading in first 10 seconds. That's why we will test at least homepage to make sure everything was uploaded, specified amount of time, duration. And I got here report duration assertion. It's actually took me 337 milliseconds, but I specify it should be about 300, and it's failed. You can put any numbers just to remember. In my presentation, it was some requirements from users. You see, like it should be 200 users, less than 5 seconds for main page, and its peak amount of users, it's 1,500. 5 seconds, it's the same as 500 milliseconds. If we'll change it, our test case will be passed. I don't have assertion result window. If it's, it will result, I have so many. Let me remove some. You don't have this field at all, or it's just empty? If you create one, you should see it. Okay, we create assertion for result, for response. for duration, for size. It's HTML assertion as well you can create to see if it's, you select HTML format, but we don't need it for right now. And you can see result of, I think we should be good. It's a lot of different functions in JMeter. It's just main one what people use like for simple testing because it can be more complicated, of course. Here in tools, you can create like options tab. You can also create like logs. Log viewer, it will be saved your logs to your computer. It's not here, it's, you will see all these logs, you see. And you can also save it. But we don't need it right now. You can play around with this tool, like it's a lot of different functions, just check what is there. You can specify it will run in multiple machines and so on. But for main idea, okay, let's do another trick and we will create right now. I would ask you probably to create 300 users. And let's give it like 20 seconds and let's see what happens if we will try to run this. Run. You see it's counting 300 users and I gave just 10 seconds. Of course it will be failed. And here I can see in logs, I can see what happens. User 111. It's here, options, log viewer. If you click this button, you will see all logs as well, how it's running. At the end, you see it's failed. It just, oops. It's 293 users and it's failed. I need 300 users. Guys, did you find logs? Other parameters for performance testing provided. Oops. Sorry, this message. Provided in documentation test cases who when defines what should be checked during performance testing. You will discuss it with your project manager during some meetings. You will discuss with product owner. Sometimes like QA, when you work in specific company, you will know all the APIs. You will have idea what to be, should be tested. If they don't do any performance testing when you will join company, you can always ask if they do some. Maybe it's another team responsible for this. And you can ask to do this performance testing. As QA engineer, you are not just following everything what's going on in company, like you need to create some scenarios. If you think you need to create some performance, you will do it. Before main release, or maybe it will be first launch of application. Not all the time, not all full regression circles, just sometimes when you release like something major. For major releases, you will perform, for example, you change some integration settings in your system, or it's brand new page, or maybe it will be brand new API, but commonly used. You will create this performance testing. But you will discuss in your team. And if they need it, again, it will be in test plan if they have some, if performance testing needed at all or no, you need to discuss about it. You can always ask if they do. Okay, guys, did you try to run this 300 people or something? I want to show you what will happen in if I will do like 2,000 people. You can repeat, but you can skip it. But actually, if I will do a lot of users, it should crash. Let me do like 60 seconds, and I want to do like, in our case, remember they ask like 1,500. But again, when we launch application, JMeter say us, don't do stress testing and they saying about probably, it's not here, but most of the time they recommend, if it's more than 200 users, they recommend to use terminal. And we will try to do it right now. Still not able to log in? Anastasia, will figure out. You can right now run different, like home page, it's okay. You just probably, it's just syntax error somewhere. You will check it later. Just try with different APIs. Like in just one example of how you can create API call if needed. Okay, I will try to run 100 or 1,500 users. And I want to see what happens. You see, it's actually already everything back in my end. We'll see where it will be crashed. 500, you see, almost 600. And we specified 60 seconds for 1,000 users. It's actually running pretty well. It's not. It's almost done. Okay, you see, it's just 2 users. I specified just 1 minute, but actually system was not crashed. You see, it's not failed. Everything is good. I just specified 60 seconds. It's probably not enough for 1,500 users. Okay, you can try, you can specify more users, see what happens. If you will do more than 2,000, I believe 2 things can happen. It's first, it will be, your JMeter will be crashed, and second, DINs will block you. It's actually what should happen. It's crashed. It stopped, and you see, like some people try to run it 600 users. Yes, it's again, it doesn't mean our server was down. It actually means it's crashed. If it's crashed, it means you need to use terminal. If it stopped to use and start failing, and user cannot log in, it means our server down or application blocked us. Error 429. Oh, I don't know what that's. You need to check it. Okay, let's open terminal and we'll see how it's running there. Okay, we cover this. You can follow instruction on this application message what they sent to us. You say like you need to open terminal. For Windows users, you need to open command prompt. And you need to go to your bin folder. To make it easier, you just need to find bin folder here in just copy path and change location. And you will be inside of bin folder. Again, in search field for Windows, you need to type command prompt. It will open terminal. For Mac users, you need to know where is the terminal and do the same. And you need to go inside of this bin folder where you saved your test plan. In my case, I saved my test plan in different location. Let's see. I am waiting for first person who didn't this. In this treat, we need to specify, like, for example, 3,000 of users, but don't click run button. We will go to terminal and run it from there. Guys, are you following me? Was you able to open terminal? And I will send link. Up, shut down. It should be shut down, yeah. This isn't crash. GUI, it should crashed. It's okay. That's why we check if it's not because of our application, it's just because of JMeter. And we need to use, it's already stress testing. Previously we did just performance and we specify, but right now we need to test with big amount of user. It's stress testing, and we will use terminal. I am not sure if someone opened this terminal. Link, please. Link to where? You need to open terminal first. And I will show you what to do next. Everyone should open terminal and go to their folder, to bin folder. Okay, and link, it's actually here. I will, again, link is here, specifications here in for JMeter provide for us. You need to use all this information, just specify your file, what is your name of your JMX file, and you need to specify where to save it. I will share with my settings, but depends how you call your name. On my Mac, JMeter is not working if terminal is closed, so terminal is always open. It's okay if it's open for my machine as well. You just need to go to this folder. For Mac users, do you have the same notification from JMeter? I'm not sure if it happens for Mac. I will post them. Okay, guys, I send you link. It's what you need to, when you're inside of bin folder, you need to, when you saved your test plan, in our case, it's DINS, you're going to file, you click in save a test plan as, you specify what will be name of your test plan. In my case, it's DINS stress. I call it this way. DINS stress, you see. I save it and I will use it here in pass as well. DINS stress JMX. If you have different name, just change name in this link. And here you need to create any name with CSV extension, and it will be saved report to this file. You can use my link, but you need to change your test plan if you don't have, like, if you have just DINS, change it to DINS stress, and my link will work as well. I don't know if it will work on Mac. We will figure it out on Mac. I'm not sure. We need to check on official websites what they do. It should be, but I'm not sure. Simply Google. For Mac, they're saying it will be just the same, just as H before, but idea will be the same. What does not work? Again, I will show how it works in my end. I will not wait for everyone. Let me show just how it works. In terminal, you need to go to bin folder. You see, it's like to change by default when you open terminal, it's in another. Let me do it from scratch. You're going to search for Windows users. You click it like command prompt. You will see this application, open terminal. You see by default, it's in my C drive users and my user. You need to change it. To change it, you need to specify path where your test plan saved. You can type it manually, but you can also go to this folder in your Explorer and copy this path. You see? Just copy this path. And then CD and paste path, and you will be inside of bin folder. And when you're inside of bin folder, you need to type already JMeter command, what they show. I have it be saved. JMeter -n-t. Here is name of my test plan, JMX/L, and here I specify file. It will create file in folder with report. I need to change amount of users here manually, like 3,000. And when I click just enter, it will start running. It should, at least. And it start running in my case. And we'll see what happens. Instead of user, just Google it. I just simply Google how to use non-GUI JMeter for Mac users, but here the first one what I found is this one. I'm not sure if it's the right one. In my presentation, you will find link in the official JMeter site, and they should specify it. You can find it there. But right now, I don't remember if we have it in my presentation. Just for Windows. It works on my Mac. You see, for people, it works. If it doesn't, just try to use the extension is different here. Extension file, again, I just copy for website. I use CVS, try to use CVS as well. I believe it should work. The right one should be this. I just copy from random website. Okay, let's see what happens. It should already. Okay, and it's some report here. You see how many milliseconds, you see. Finished, active, it still continue going. It's error happens, it's some iteration. You see, and we have how started to, it's finished in 23 users, it's finished in 140 users, probably running at the same time and starting try. What do you see on your to this folder, bin folder? You will find these CVS files. In my case, it's JMeter dim stress. You see, I have this file. If I will open it, you see it's report. And you will see what kind of response it was. You see it's our code response for all these users, true or false. You can find where it was failed, in which user, and what is number, and so on. It's kind of reporting. GTL on Mac. Cool. You see, you need to, it depends from Mac version, it depends from Windows version. Sometimes what I share with you, it doesn't work because you have something different. But if you just Google, everything in QA work, it's about Googling the right questions. You need to think what we're doing. If it doesn't work, try to search it. If you get any error in terminal, just copy this and search. Most of the time, it will show you result in Stack Overflow website, and it will be a lot of answers. It's the same what happens when you will try automation. You will do the same every day. You will live in this Stack Overflow website to see what, because other people got the same errors, and other developers are just sharing their experience and how they were able to fix it. It's cool resource. Nobody will fix this issue for you. Even if you work in QA department, you will need to use this tool. It doesn't mean like all office know what you're doing. Okay, you see for JMeter, for Mac, it's CA JMeter, DINS.com, DINS CSV. Cool, and you can open this report. And right now we just did with you like stress test. Okay, guys, I think like most of the people were able to do it. Again, it's all about JMeter. It's a lot of different functions as well. You can like delay start of our running. You can create list of users, and it will be different users to like it. It's a lot of different settings. Nobody will ask all these details in interview, but if they will ask you if you performed like any load testing, you will say yes, you use JMeter, and you will know you need to create like thread group. You need to specify amount of users. Remember this terminology: number of threads. Ramp up, it's how many milliseconds it will run in. Loop count, just go through this and you will be fine. They will not ask more than it in an interview. And I just wanted to show you, in my case, it will not work, but I just want to share with you one more feature. Right now, we actually did everything manually. We know API, and we put in like API one by one, like home page, login page, sign up page, and so on. It's possible in JMeter to record our actions in web browser. You will specify web browser, you will specify a website, you will make settings in your browser, you will make settings in JMeter, you will go and open a specified website on browser, you will do any actions, and JMeter will record everything. Every single step, and you can actually run it automatically. You don't need to create anything manually. But in my case, at first, it's a little bit more complicated settings most of the time. And in my case, I have some blockers in my laptop. It's restriction for different website in my work machine. I will just show you how it can be, and you can try to make settings later. First of all, you need to create, again, it will be same test plan, thread group, and you need to add the record controller. It's here. Again, right click, add. It should be a sampler. Hold on. It probably will be here. You need to find in the main test plan and DINS, add non-test element, and you need to add HTTP test script recorder. Okay. And in thread group, you need to add controller, recording controller. It's two things what you need to add. You select recording, again, on thread group, right click, add logic controller, and find recording controller. You will see it here. And in main project and test plan, you need to add non-test element, and it's called HTTP test script recorder. It's two things what you need to add. Okay. And right now, I put everything in presentation. If you will go step by step in my presentation, you will be able to reproduce it. I just can show settings, but I cannot make changes in my browser because it's restriction again, but you should be able to. You see, it's a logic controller, recorder controller, and another part, HTTP test script recorder. And right now we need to create proxy server in our browser. Proxy server is actually will be like a port between our JMeter and browser, and it will use this channel to record our actions, everything what we will do. Let me show you. You need to create port here. It doesn't matter what you will use. You can create like 8080. I don't remember what we are. HTTPS domain, if you need to use specific website, you need to specify it here. It's actually like, for example, google.com. You need to create, you need to save it. Here it's target controller, and you need to specify what is the test plan we're using. You see like beans users. And actually you need to open any browser what you're using. For example, it's Chrome, go to settings, find proxy, and you need to manually specify a port. You need to use the same port what we used here, 8080. Nowadays in Firefox it's the same. In my case, when I did it in my machine, it was easier for me in Firefox for some reason, but you can try it to different browsers because sometimes it's tricky with certificates. Here in Firefox, I just open browser settings, search for proxy, and it will open like proxy settings. Here should be manual proxy configuration, local host, and here specify port 8080. When you will click OK, and you will try to open any website, google.com, nothing actually should work because when we create proxy server, it should not use internal traffic. It should be connected with our JMeter right now. If I will click start here in test script recorder, you see it's some notifications that I need to use a specific certificate. Again, it will not work on my machine. I will just show you example. You click in OK button. You see it start recording something in my Firefox. You see, I have some issue with certificates, but you should be fine. If you specify this, clicking on this certificate message, when it show up, it will allow you to save certificate. And actually, you see, it start recording everything what happens in my browser, in Firefox. But it's actually not going to open websites. I will show you. I posted all links what you need in presentation. You can try at home. Again, logic controller. You need to find recording, specify proxy server, specify what is your thread group, what you're testing. When you click in JMeter button start, it will start recording. You need to go to browser and specify the same port in browser. And then you actually will able to open websites in this browser after you will connect this port in JMeter in proxy. And every time when you will do any actions on this browser, it will record in JMeter. You will see some records here. When you're done with this, you can just click stop button. It will stop recording. You will see like all calls, what your browser did. You can clear something, like if you need this call, you can just delete it. And you can save your test plan and run it again when you need, just without browser. In this case, you just specify browser to make sure like it will record in all actions in browser. But later you don't need to open browser. It will just use these APIs. No questions so far. I think like people start losing me. This part is more complicated. It's actually not complicated, but it's sometimes required more settings because you will have, if you have some restriction in your machine, you will have issue with certificates. Let me see. I have restriction. I cannot run this from my machine, but the same with my Chrome. But actually, when you will try, and I probably create link in presentation. I believe it was one more link about recording here. And it's clear from here. From this link, you will see clear instruction how to set up all browsers. I will post link in general as well. You can try. Again, it's optional. It's in case if you have question, do we need to create one by one? No, you can record from browser and it will be running. The same. Just go step by step, depends what kind of browser you want to use. It's some, and here at the end, they will have instruction how to create certificates. You should be able to do it. For what we need these records in our work. Again, for example, you want to test, if you're testing any API, you want to do some actions in browser, you open home page, you click on this button, it's going to make one API call, you click on sign up button, it's going to make another call. In this case, when you will create this recording and you will perform actions in browser, JMeter will record all API calls. All time what you will do any actions in browsers, it make connection and it's recording. Then you stop recording and you will see all calls what browser did. You can remove everything what you don't need. And you see, for example, okay, this API for sign up, this API for login. It's the same actually what in DevTools we see in networking, right? It's a lot of different calls every time when you do actions. And JMeter will record everything. And you just can use API what, if you don't want to create all this manually in JMeter, you can record in browser and then use it later. It's just recorded. If you need to test like specific page, you will use, it's for API testing again. Okay, guys, any other questions? You will able to, this instructions clear on this website. Just if you have issue with certificates, how I did, you need to find certificate folder and manually this certificate will be in somewhere in JMeter folder as well. And you just need to find it. In this article, you will find all information. If you want to play around, you can just try to record. What should we tell in interview using JMeter according to audience project? You can, two options. You can say you test API using JMeter and you test API using Postman. And another one, you did performance testing. If they will ask, do you have idea or you have experience with load testing performance, you will say yes. We test our application, we did performance testing. They will ask what kind of tool you used. You will say JMeter for load testing. And they can ask if they really use like this JMeter or not any other tools. They can say like, what kind of settings did you do in JMeter? You will say, you create treat group of user, you specify how many users, all this stuff. And you create different APIs and test them. It's exactly what we did today. It's performance testing. If for any time I will need to test my home page with 3,000 users, I will open JMeter, will create this HTTP request, will specify 3,000 users, click run button, and it will check how my application will handle it. Right now you have idea how JMeter works. And actually how all QA does this performance testing. If you will ever need it, you will have idea, but again, you're based on your project, you will have time to figure out, Google it home. And if you will really like, not on interview, if you really like need to use it, you will have time to review this video again. Roman, you can talk.
Hi, can you hear me, guys?
Yeah.
Sorry, I have a, I'm sorry.
Just echo, yeah, can you use something? Yeah. Is it
better now?
Yeah.
All right. The question for me would be, if I'm trying on my resume, I'm saying, let's say I'm a manual tester and I was a manual tester. Now I'm applying for a manual position as well. How would I specify why was I using this tool? Shouldn't it be some sort of, I don't know, API, not the API, but some sort of more advanced testers, not a beginner as I was before, doing this this type of testing?
What is the title in your resume?
Software QA engineer.
Why you decided you just manual only? Right now, you know API, you know SQL. It's not automation, it's still manual, but it's not so simple in junior. It's just part of QA work. It doesn't mean it's just junior part, or you will not have like this cross line in any your work. Okay, here I'm junior and here I am senior. It will just happen, you know, like during like three years, because you'll have more knowledge and more experience. It's not like cross line. Okay, I need to know this to be senior. In 5 years, you'll be automatically senior. You can do like simple stuff, test one home page for 5 years. You will not use API, but people still will count you as senior because you will have 5 years of experience. Right now, when you go on the market, you are not junior. You're kind of junior because you have like just 3 months in boot camp, but actually you have skills of good QA engineer. You can test API, you can test SQL, you can do performance testing. I don't know reason why you need to sell yourself an interview as junior QA. It's manual job. Right now, we didn't do any automation, right? It's simple tool, what using for performance testing. It's not required like super skills. You just go to YouTube or see my videos or something like this. You know how this tool works and you use it. It's not required programming languages, right? It's not automation. It's still manual. It's just one tool what can be used like any QA engineer.
I see. Thank you. And
That's
one
why,
more,
yeah.
One more would be, can we use JMeter for the mobile testing as well?
You will use JMeter for test API. API will be the same for web and for mobile.
I see.
For testing like the same stuff like performance, and it will be still testing API. Your mobile application will use some API calls and you will test them. You will not attach any mobile device. Right now, we didn't use any browser, right? just only last part for recording, but actually we test API. Same with Postman. We don't care what will be used, like by mobile, by Apple Watch, by web browser. It's API. What will be front end? We don't care right now. It's backend testing.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions, guys? How often and when do we need to do performance testing? Again, it depends from your application. Every huge release, you will know what is a sick part of application and where you want to test it. If it's fresh application at all, you will test a lot of different APIs to see how to handle. You will have analysis for it. You will think your you will use your common sense to think like, okay, probably this API where people just open the page, where people pay, where people log in, probably it's the most common areas where what people will use. You will think about it. It's not someone will came to you and say like, okay, just test it. It can happen, but as a QA engineer, you need to think about it. And when you will have application, maybe you will join startup and they didn't do a lot of different type of testing, but from our bootcamp, you have knowledge, okay, why we didn't do performance testing, why we cannot test API, it will be faster and easier. And you will ask them and they will say, cool, you're so smart girl or boy, yeah, let's test this API if you can't do it and you're able to do it. It doesn't mean you will come into company with a lot of experienced people, you know, like a lot of times you will start as QA engineer and you will be most experienced person in group who know everything about testing. Because developers, they know about their part, project managers, they know about their type, you will be person who will bring value as QA engineer. And a lot of times you will be only one QA. You need to bring this idea, you need to think what kind of tools you will be used, what kind of testing it should be done. You know, if you will have QA manager or QA lead, maybe you will discuss with them. But if you don't have any of them, you will be a person who is responsible to think about it. I understand you're scared. I don't know all this knowledge and I don't know all this type of testing. You will Google it. It's normal and you will learn it and you will be fine. Again, nobody ask like to do anything with any tool like in few seconds. They will give you time. Okay, let's use JMeter. You will have time to install. You will have time at home to check videos again, maybe extra videos, and you will come to office and try to make something. If they use something, again, nobody, it's not like already test at your work. If they have JMeter and they use it, you will just get access and you will see what they do and ask questions. And about this, in Postman, no. In Postman, we cannot do performance testing. We can test API and we can do a lot of automation with Postman, but with JMeter, we can do performance, simulate this amount of users. In Postman, it's kind of a lot of irritations. Yeah, it's different type of testing. So for API testing, I like more Postman, but for performance, I use JMeter. Okay, guys, any other questions? I think, yeah, don't overthink this tool. Yes, you have, it's simple, like all these tools, and idea of this class just to give you overall view how it works. And yeah, you can answer some questions in interview, but I believe like 90% of people will not get these questions in interview, but already 5% from your group, they were asked about JMeter in interview. That's why you never know. The more tools you know, then more chances you will be hired. Okay, and probably it's today it's last session with your group, with me. Thank you so much. We didn't do any retro, right? I forgot about this. Yeah, we don't need it anymore, I believe. It was nice to meet you in this group. I hope you find all jobs and post messages in our channel. We will be happy to help with interview questions. Yeah, we'll be missing you. Yeah, me too. I hope, yeah, let's keep in touch, admin LinkedIn, and yeah, see you. Thank you, guys. Bye.